Famous murder cases are so intriguing. They're intriguing because the people involved, the crime has been committed, and the motive behind the crime. The motive, the mystery. I think that's what it's all about. Think about it. In these big cases, there's so much to look at, especially from the outside when you don't know really what's going on. You could read about a case, you could watch, documentaries and movies about the case, but you really won't know what's going on until you look at evidence. There's so much. What we're talking about, two individuals. The case is so big. It's so big, it's still getting talked about till this day with celebrities, people petitioning for them to get out. Now, these two individuals, they're found guilty, but there's a mystery still about it because did they do it? Did they not? What am I talking about? We're talking about the Menendez brothers.
What was the imminent fear here? The parents were sitting in the den watching TV. There was no imminent fear. Imminent means now.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I wanted to talk about this case for so long. There's so much I have to look at in this case. I'm talking about I got trials saved. I think I'm gonna put that on another part of the YouTube thing, which I kind of want it to be members only because I want to start the whole members thing because I have more I want to show with that. But I'm watching full trials, okay? We have a lot of famous cases to talk about, y'all. But the Menendez brothers, it's so big. It's always in the news because you have, for example, and we're just jumping right into this one. We have Kim Kardashian talking about it, trying to petition to get them out. We have people online in different forums talking about they did not commit the crime of what they did. Now, what did they do? In 1989, they were charged of first-degree murder on their parents for shooting them to death. Allegedly. I'm saying allegedly because I feel like there's still people who don't believe it, but they were found guilty. Okay? Just let's talk about that real quick. If not even talking about them, I'm talking about the crime itself. Shooting somebody to death with a shotgun, mind you. The motives. You're looking at the motives, you're looking at the crime scene, how was it staged, if it was staged, was it a break-in, so much to look at. With this, I was researching myself a little bit, and there's a lot I did not like in this case that I researched, and I saw, I didn't watch any trials yet, but I know there's a lot. I saw testimonies all popped up, and I was like, okay, I'm going to save them because I really want to go through this one by one, but I am curious about what they're talking about on law and crime, of why they could possibly be, set free. So that's what we're going to be reacting to. But think about it. These two dudes, Eric and Lyle, it's like these two rich individuals, during that time, what would be their motive? Eric and Lyle Menendez, two brought up very well, but I have a motive in mind, what I think it is, which is what they said, but I think is more to the story. Now, I might be all over the place with this one, y'all, but just grasp it with me because there's so much with this case, and I tried to put this in like points, but I never follow points. Look, sexual assault, that's what this is. I believe if they did it, a lot of people, mind you, I'm not being biased in this, okay? I'm just saying what I think. Now, I did my research, and they say that there was a confession. They said exactly what happened, with the sexual assault. Let's say that. But the prosecutors did not believe that. And that's what I don't like. When I say sexual assault, that's what I'm talking about. My whole thing with that is, I did not like how they tried to say it was like not true or whatever. Let me tell y'all something. Now, if you have never been sexually assaulted, don't have anything to do with that, don't know about it that much, I feel like you have no room to judge, no room to talk. You don't know if it's true or not, but a lot of people, it's already hard to talk about, okay? So that's what I did not like about this, because the prosecutors kept saying that he kept saying that they were not assaulted. Now, I'm over here like, who were you? Like, how can you say, you have one of the boys saying that they were assaulted between the ages of 6 and 8, I believe, and the other brother said it was up to like the death. So if that's true, allegedly, if that's true, it's like, that's why I did not like. I'm like, you can't say that somebody was not assaulted when you were not there, especially all those years when you know nothing about that. And their whole reasoning, the prosecutors, their reasoning is because it's all about money. Now, money is a hell of a motivator, but also revenge. And I think we need to really grasp that. Like, if it's true that they killed them because of, let's say, money, but then think about it. If they killed them, it would have been mostly, I think, more about revenge. If that's true, I'm just saying theories, okay, y'all, to me. I feel like the sexual assault thing would make more sense, but it's like, that's the part I didn't like. Or stop saying that they were not assaulted. And he kept on saying they were lying. It's like, you don't know that. Were you in the room with them when this happened? Like, I don't know. But that whole thing just really pissed me off. That's the part that really got me, y'all. But think about it, the money part now. I get why they said money, because allegedly, I did my research, y'all. They said, after, like 2 days after the murder, you have the brothers going shopping, buying Rolexes, going tennis, y'all, having tennis instructors and living it up because the trial was 3 years after, I believe. So you have them allegedly going to buy all this stuff, and they did say there were witnesses. So it's like, I can see that part, because it sounds like you wouldn't care if they're dead, but at the same time, if they did something to you like that. And the mom, if the mom knew, because I think they said she knew, it's like that would be more about revenge. I hope that made sense, y'all. Okay, I'm just saying, okay, I hope that made sense. But we're going to be reacting to on Law and Crime 7 reasons why they could be possibly set free. Now, they already did 35 years. Is that true? A lot of serial killers get less time. It's crazy. But I don't like murderers, but I don't know if this is true or not. There's so much mystery behind this case. And I feel like at the same time, it's really not. It sounds like they did it, but it's like, I feel like if the court, if everybody is so unsure, they should just go through all the evidence again. If it's that bad and like nobody really knows. I hear there was a lot of back and forth back then, money stuff, just a lot of, I don't know, it was a lot of weird stuff and a lot of biases. Now, I went to the comments of this video, y'all. Oh my God, people hate these people, like what we're about to watch. And I'm like, okay, why? They say they're very biased. I think one of the men on here was also in the trial. Like, he talked about the trial during that time. So we're going to see. I'm not biased. I don't know what happened. I'm just giving y'all my opinion. So I'm not going to make this too long, because it's already very too long of an intro. So we're just going to get into it.
But as details of Lyle and Eric's abuse came to light, it became clear that their actions, while tragic, were the desperate response of 2 boys trying to survive the unspeakable cruel of their father. The truth is, Lyle and Eric were failed by the very people who should have protected them.
Nearly 24 family members of the Menendez brothers gathered in Los Angeles to call for their release from prison 35 years after the murder of their parents. With new evidence emerging that may be crucial to their release, could we witness the Menendez brothers actually walking free? We're going to take a look at some of the most compelling recent developments that could reshape this landmark case. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Matt Murphy, covering for Jesse Weber.
I wish it was Jesse Weber.
Lyle and Eric Menendez have spent over 3 decades behind bars for the 1989 shotgun murders of their parents, Jose and Kitty Menendez. The case has attracted renewed attention following the release of the Netflix series Monsters, the Lyle and Eric Menendez story, drawing in a new generation of followers who are now pressuring Los Angeles County District Attorney George Gascon to reconsider their sentences.
Okay, also, I already know this video is going to be kind of long, because this is a 40-minute video. We have to watch it. Maybe I might, if they get on my nerves too much, because I hear it's really bad, the way how biased they are, I might speed it up. But the thing is that you have people who, obviously, you know, they don't know everything. Some people might just see sexual assault and might think it's revenge, but some people might think there's more to the story. Now, even the family members, they're like, okay, they were sexually assaulted, they heard their story. If they're not changing it, they're like, okay, they acted out of desperation, which would make sense, because, you know, they were younger. And, you know, even if that's true with the sexual assault, I feel like, once again, who are we to say, like I said, if you have never been sexually assaulted, I have like experience with that. It's just like, you can't, I hate when people say that's not true. Like, how do you know? But it's like, you have people now able to find evidence on their own. Everything is public, especially when it's a public case. You can go look at evidence, you can go look at pictures. Literally, people do their own research. So yeah, and you have like psychologists, psychiatrists, all these people looking at it. Times are different now. But I really wish Jesse Weber was talking.
Brothers, then 21 and 18, were convicted of first-degree murder with the special circumstance of murder for financial gain after fatally shooting their parents inside their Beverly Hills home. They argued imperfect self-defense during their first trial, claiming their lives were in danger due to years of alleged physical and sexual abuse by their father, Jose, and also their mother, Kitty. While the brothers testified about this alleged abuse, they were unable at the time to present much in the way of corroborating evidence to support their claims. In addition to the abuse allegations against her, they also claimed that their mother, Kitty, did nothing to intervene in the abuse perpetrated by their father. Both Lyle and Eric testified that they feared for their lives if they spoke out. The juries in the first trial were unable to reach a unanimous verdict, resulting in mistrials. However, the second trial took a drastically different turn. Tried together this time, the court limited the brothers' ability to introduce evidence related to their alleged abuse. The judge also...
Okay, so I can already see where we're going with this. His tone is already making me kind of mad, but I'm okay. I'm gonna calm down. When he said alleged abuse, that stuff really made me mad. It's like you just don't know. Now, my eye is watering, y'all, so just bear with me. This is what's weird about the justice system and everything, you know, just people in general. You don't know anything. You don't know, like, how it's hard to present abuse when it's like you have two brothers who saying they were abused and nobody's buying it really. But it's like parents, if you're being assaulted by your parents' statistics, it's always somebody really closer to you who does it. And, who sexually assaults you that way, if you're being like molested and stuff like that. And if the dad was doing that, of course the mom wouldn't say nothing because she was probably scared of him. And then they said she was abusing them. So, and that do count as abuse, by the way, if they're not doing anything about it, if the mother's not doing anything about it. But these are rich people, and they can make things go away. They can hide stuff. They can put fear in their kids. It's definitely possible. But I never like how with the sexual assault thing, they act like it's so, like, you really gotta figure a way to show it. Like, how can you show that? You have trauma, you're talking about it. That's what it is. Ugh, but that's, I guess, when murder is involved.
Also barred their argument of imperfect self-defense, effectively removing the possibility of a manslaughter conviction. In the end, they were sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The Los Angeles County DA indicated he hopes to make a decision on the possibility of resentencing in just a few days, one that could potentially see the brothers released before the end of this year. As Gascon's office reviews this new evidence and the brothers await a decision, we're going to explore this evidence and outline the key reasons why they may actually be granted their freedom. Okay, so let's...
Now, real quick, because I'm going to let it play in a minute. One thing also I want to say, now that the everything is coming in. If and y'all, I still have blue hair down on my nails, so ignore that. If they were not able to use they didn't buy a lot of what they were saying, not be able to use the evidence, a lot of the stuff that they was talking about in court, if they weren't able to come up with like a decision the first time they had a second trial and they just said first degree murder. Realistically, I'm surprised they didn't say manslaughter. If you hear the sexual abuse part, I think most likely they would say accidental and not just first degree murder. But it's like, I feel like during that time period, it was definitely different. I feel like, because it was that was in the 90s they had this trial. But I feel like now it's more to it you look at. You wouldn't just have first degree murder. Also, if it's so unanimous, it would be like a longer trial date. Even though this was a while, I feel like it's such a big case that it would be so much harder to prove. So I don't think they would have got life in prison. I think it would have been with parole, or it would have been more to it. Like, you really have to do research, talk to people about see how, I don't know, about the abuse stuff to really see if that was a thing in it, and which I kind of do believe. You don't have younger people really, like, they were young. You don't have people really, they remembered a lot, everything actually. So with the abuse part, I definitely believe it, but I just think that, let me just let it play, y'all.
Right into this. Reason number one. The purported discovery of a letter allegedly written by Eric Menendez which arguably corroborates his account of sexual abuse by his father. We've been talking about this here on Sidebar. This letter, reportedly from Menendez, is from 1988, where he appears to tell his cousin Andy Cano of this abuse. This was included in the habeas corpus petition that the brothers filed last year. It reads in part, quote, "I've been trying to avoid Dad. It's still happening, Andy, but it's worse for me now. I can't explain it. He's so overweight that I can't stand to see him. I never know when it's going to happen, and it's driving me crazy. Every night I stay up thinking he might come in. I need to put it out of my mind. I know what you said before, but I'm afraid. You just don't know Dad like I do. He's crazy. He's warned me 100 times about telling anyone, especially Lyle." Now here's the thing.
I'm about to wait to what he about to say. Why did they just give me a gut-wrenching, just like a punch in the stomach? You know why? Because I know what that feels like. That exact thing. Oh my goodness. And I don't have a problem talking about my experience with this. It's like with me, it was my stepdad. Like I don't have a problem because I'm 26 now, about to be 27 this year. Still say I'm 26, but I'm gonna be 27 this year. Realization, wake up, girl. But it happened when I was like, it was preteen age stepfather, and I didn't tell nobody. I journaled and just kept it to myself. But you know that feeling of, and this is gonna be a deep episode, but it's like that feeling of somebody possibly coming in and, you know, waiting. That's the scary thing, especially at nighttime. It's very horrifying. Like I said, if you never dealt with like sexual assault or anything like that, it's very heavy for a child, mind you. 100% he was assaulted. 100% he's telling his cousin, I think they said, or somebody he knew, and that's heavy. Right then, like right there, you can see, I would see how revenge would be a motivator to murder. And if that's true, which the sexual assault happened, okay, he's right, and this was, they said back 1988, that happened. That's 100% true. So I don't understand why the prosecutor tried to say that they were not. It's like he was. Like he's writing his feelings down, and it's very detailed. So, well, to that little part is very just sad because people really hold stuff in. Like you can't tell anybody. It's really scary. But I'm really curious about what he's gonna say. But what I was gonna say, yeah, revenge is definitely a motivator, which I think if that was true, it would definitely be like accident manslaughter. Even if it's first degree murder, it would be like I don't think they should have. Anyways.
The prosecution did not know about that letter at the time of the original conviction, and the jury also did not get to see it during either trial. And remember, we told you earlier the judge prohibited the brothers from using aspects of their abuse defense as a defense.
And
so
that's
could
weird.
this letter have made a difference? Possibly.
Why?
If believed, it may have disproved the argument made by the prosecution that Jose Menendez was not capable of this kind of horrific abuse. In fact, the prosecution told the jury in the second trial that Jose was, quote, not a violent and brutal man, and that he was, quote, not the kind of man that would abuse his children. Let's hear what their attorney...
Okay, let's talk. This is gonna be a long video, y'all. Okay, how idiotic, disrespectful, and dumb people can be. Who are you? You don't know nobody. And this is when I always say you don't know anybody, you don't know anybody. Who are you to say he's not capable of sexual assaulting his sons? Do you know him? Because his son is over here 88 writing about him being assaulted. And you're like, I saw that other part saying he's a forgiving man. Y'all, they said the same thing about Diddy. Come on, you don't know what's going on behind closed doors. That's the most idiotic thing I think people can ever say. You always got, there's a lot of people like that. Oh, he's not possible. It's not possible of him like doing that. He's not capable of doing that. He's such a nice man. Do you live at their home with them? Do you stay with them 24 hours a day? Who are you? I don't understand it. Even family members. This goes for family members too. You don't know anybody. You don't know what people are doing behind closed doors. It might look so perfect on the outside just because he's a businessman. He probably donate. He probably give charity. He same thing. He probably help others. This is all the same thing, okay? But it's like he might do all those things, but just because you see that on the outside, you don't see the monster on the inside. Now, I'm not saying what's true or what's not. I believe he was assaulted though, but I don't like that saying that people say it's not possible. It's always possible, mind you. Creeps can hide stuff very well. God, that made me mad. I'm talking about, if you ever dealt with sexual assault, the most annoying thing is that person's not capable. Shut the hell up. Sorry, y'all. I had to get that out. That really pissed me off.
What Garagos had to say about this letter during Wednesday's press conference.
His cousin Andy testified at the trial. However, in the second trial, was demeaned as making this up or was not true. This letter now shows or corroborates that Andy was telling the truth.
Now, this letter arguably corroborates the testimony of Lyle Menendez during his first trial when he said, quote, "He started telling me that one of the reasons he never told me before was because my dad had always threatened his life." So that's one key piece of this new evidence. Let's move on to reason number 2, and the second key piece to this. This is the recent allegation made by Roy Rosseo, a member of the Latin boy band Menudo, that he was also sexually abused by Jose Menendez inside the family home when he was just 14 years old. Remember, he recently spoke out about this in the Peacock docuseries Menendez plus Menudo, Boys Betrayed. Jurors also never got to hear from this revelation from Rosseo, and again, if this is true, it could be considered new evidence corroborating the brothers' claims. Take a listen to what defense attorney Mark Garagos had to say about that.
Is that it corroborates what was testified to in trial number 1, that it corroborates the fact that the safe place that Jose thought he had was in the house. It corroborates what the family members said was the very uncomfortable rule in that house, that you could not go down the hallway if Jose was with one of the boys.
So we're talking a lot about the emergence of this new evidence in today's world, which arguably looks a little bit different than the one nearly 3 decades ago during the Menendez trials. This brings us to reason number 3, and we teased this in the beginning, the second trial's exclusion of certain elements of the brothers' defense centering around the physical and sexual abuse allegations. So why is this important? Limiting the brothers' defense in any way also meant limiting the scope of witnesses' testimony. During the first trial, the defense called 56 witnesses to testify. The ruling in the second trial excluded all Menendez family witnesses who were critical of their father, Jose. This included testimony from a cousin, Diane Vandermolen, who testified that an 8-year-old Lyle told her he was scared to sleep in his bed because his dad had been touching him inappropriately, told by Kitty about this, only for it never to be spoken of again. A key argument from the family members and the Menendez defense team is their belief that the world was not ready to hear this evidence and believe the brothers back then, but they may be ready to hear it now.
And they would be victims of a culture that was not ready to listen. They would be mocked. They would be called cold-blooded killers, left to rot in jail and denied any hope of redemption. If Lyle and Eric's case were heard today, with the understanding we now have about abuse and PTSD, there is no doubt in my mind that their sentencing would have been very different.
If their trial were held today, their father's abuse would be front and center in their defense. And I believe the outcome would be very different.
So, I do have to play devil's advocate for a minute here. Let's say the DA's office does find that this evidence of sexual abuse was improperly excluded. Does that actually bolster the brothers' claim of imperfect self-defense? Remember, we're talking about killing someone due to the fear of being in imminent danger. When Eric and Lyle killed their parents, Jose and Kitty Menendez were sitting on a couch watching television. The prosecution argued in that moment there was no way Eric and Lyle could reasonably believe that they were in imminent danger, even if they'd been the victims of previous sexual or physical abuse. Over the years, the courts of appeal have consistently...
I try not to pause it, but that's a crazy statement. Are you kidding me? Look, I'm not saying they killed him or they didn't, or it was out of fear, but most likely. Look, this is my problem with that system. Just because you say they were sitting on the couch when they shot him, that mean they weren't in fear. Oh my goodness. This is how you know these people in that court, never dealt with anything sexual assault. The fear builds up. Okay, especially if they're still doing it. Think about you getting assaulted and not knowing when it's going to happen, if it's going to happen, that fear of knowing that. Look, I don't know. This is going to be a big sexual assault episode, video, whatever you want to call it, okay? Because look, everybody's sexual assault story is different. You have some people that do it while they're asleep and they don't know they're being assaulted. Or, you know what's crazy about that? They do it while they're assaulted. The perpetrator, the suspect, don't know they're doing it, but the child knows. They fake like they're sleeping. They act like they don't know. And then the next day they play it off like the suspect who assaulted them act like nothing happened. Like he talking to them still. It's a mind thing. It's really psychological and it's very disgusting. But you can't say they weren't in, just because they were on the couch. He really tried to play devil's advocate, saying that he shot him when they was on the couch, and people believed, well, the judge and him believed that the dad were not a danger to them. I'm not saying murder is right, obviously. Think about the whole Gypsy Rose thing, because I saw it in the comments. That whole story of the mother who literally faked all these medical problems this girl had. She had a tube in her stomach. First of all, that whole thing, I'm talking about I watched the whole documentary, heard the whole story. Jeez. And then she set somebody up to kill her mom. Well, got somebody to kill her mom, which obviously death is never the answer. I would never want to take somebody's life. But that woman did a lot to her. And now she is doing kind of like an idiot online, but I don't know. You've been in prison all the time. That's not my business. But look, you can't say that. They can't say this. It's like you don't know what they were feeling. That stuff builds up. Don't murder. I don't agree with murdering. I was like, but I don't know. That really made me mad. He tried to play. What kind of devil's advocate is that? Because he was sitting down. He wasn't a danger to them. What? Let's continue, y'all. I'm going to let it play. And then, by the way, we have more people hearing about the abuse. He was abused.
Agreed. Just something to keep in mind here as we address the impact of this evidence, and we'll get back to that later. We are in the midst of a contested and very heated election for the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office. And that brings us to reason number 4, the possible re-election of George Gascon as the Los Angeles County District Attorney. Now, Gascon is running against a man named Nathan Hochman, and according to a recent Los Angeles Times poll, Hochman's lead over Gascon is continuing to grow. You may be asking why I'm bringing this up. Why does this matter? Well, we told you of a whole new generation of followers now calling for the brothers' release, and many have taken to Gascon's TikTok account to express their support for the brothers. Even saying that they would vote for Gascon if he frees them. Would a decision from the district attorney recommending that the court re-sentence the brothers be good from a PR or political standpoint? It would certainly appear to be the case. Now, I know we don't really like to get political here on Sidebar, but if we're diving into the reasons we could see a release of the Menendez brothers, then we have to discuss the possibility of DA George Gascon making this decision as a final desperate act to bolster his chances of re-election. I will add that Gascon has been reviewing this case since last year when the current habeas corpus petition was filed with the court. And some of the family members of the Menendez brothers who spoke on their behalf urged the public to consider this as an issue of legal importance and not political importance. To help me break this all down, I want to introduce you now to a special guest, a journalism professor at the University of Southern California who covered the first of the brothers' 2 trials as a staff writer for the Los Angeles Times, Alan Abramson.
Okay.
Thank you so much for being here, Alan.
His bias.
Matt, totally my pleasure. Believe me.
So I want to begin by asking you your thoughts on some of what we've been talking about here. Let me first pose this to you. Legally, how significant is this in your mind, this newly surfaced evidence?
Well, I don't know how much it's legally significant as it is politically significant. And the question is, will the political significance take on a legal significance? You have to remember that the district attorney, George Gascon, is running for re-election. Every indicator suggests that he's going to get his rear end kicked badly in this election. So you have to wonder why in the world Mr. Gascon is making an issue. Yeah, but it's really hard to gauge how significant a movement it is on TikTok or YouTube, A. B, what the constituency of that movement is on TikTok or YouTube, and how many of those people are voters. So those are all unknowns. I can tell you from the fan mail that I've gotten, all of it loving and completely sweet, that...
Oh, by the way, he did not win re-election. I was curious about that. I don't think that they think everything be political, but like I said, I'm not on either side. I'm over here just trying to hear what's going on. But anyways, I wouldn't say it's political because they've been talking about this for like a while. So yeah.
These people are entirely, well, not entirely, some significant number of them are very emotional about the case. That is for sure. Emotion and TikTok and YouTube are not how we decide matters like this in the United States. We have a forum for these kinds of things. It's called the court system. I mean, I don't need to tell you that, but I'll remind everybody who's watching this. But TikTok is not the way we decide murder cases.
Well,
and I promise you, I'm trying to stop, but everything they say is making me mad. I agree, but at the same time, that's like sometimes when TikTok was really good on the news. That's a lot. Like that was the way you really heard the real news because they don't put stuff out. They don't put the real news out in online. It's all about politics online. Well, in the main news, like CBS, ABC, it's all politics. Like when you go on news, like just type in news on Google, the first thing you see is politics. They don't talk about a lot of the stuff they should talk about. So when TikTok started, everybody was doing their own case, their own research, talking about cases in depth that they never did online. So yeah, TikTok was definitely necessary. And then during court trials, like the big ones, you had lawyers talking about it because it's become more popular. He's talking about, of course you do, you use the justice system to determine if you go to jail or not, obviously, but like they said at the beginning, they didn't even let the dudes use like the abuse stuff. They didn't even let them like talk about that part. So it's like, can you really trust it? Because you really can't. It was so freaking... It sounded like it was unfair. That's just my opinion. I feel like when you're in court, you're supposed to be able to address it all, talk about it all, bring it all to the forefront. I would think because it's trial, it's like your life is over, is it not? So I think they, the thing is back then they should have been able to use all of that. That's just my opinion.
A journalism professor, we've got a concept of like straight news, and then there's also opinion or entertainment, right? And I don't know if you watched the Netflix show regarding the brothers Menendez. It seems like a lot of people, and you correct me if I'm wrong here, it seems like a lot of people watch this portrayal based almost entirely, it seems, on their allegations against the parents without a whole lot of additional corroborating evidence. And it seems like people are treating it as if that was strictly factual. Has that been your experience?
Yeah, I mean, the Menendez brothers have been in the public eye now for 30 plus years. And, you go back to the Saturday Night Live lampooning of the brothers back in the 90s, and they're so susceptible to portrayals. You have Beverly Hills, you've got two rich brothers, you've got the parents, you've got every element you could possibly want. And then, of course, the trial was televised. It's very hard to remember, here we are in 2024 when we all have iPhones and social media is a thing. But back in 1993, when I covered this case and I sat for 6 straight months, in a courtroom, and took notes that there were no such things as a cell phone. My younger daughter, who's now 25, said to me, she goes, "You had to take notes by hand every day?" And I said, "Yeah, Rachel, that's what I had to do." I mean, it's incredible. And now people who watch this on YouTube or TikTok are only seeing part of the story. They were not there. It's impossible to say, if you watched it on YouTube or TikTok, you didn't see the autopsy photos. You didn't see Jose Menendez's head blown off. You didn't see Kitty Menendez's face blown to bits. You didn't see any of that.
Yeah, and also it seems like a lot of people haven't listened to the 911 call either from Lyle and Eric. It's, I mean, you certainly, you were there for court. One of the reasons why this was lampooned so heavily is because beginning with the 911 call, it's almost like performance art, right? If you could describe that for us a little bit.
Yeah, it's been my take for many years that the brothers are skilled liars. And if you listen to the 911 call, here just within a matter of, let's say, moments, and I'm using moments metaphorically, but moments after bursting into the den and firing what was later determined to be 13 to 15 shots at their parents, and I can go into this at some vivid detail later, Lyle Menendez picks up the phone and sobs into the phone, "Someone's killed my parents." I mean, this is a performance worthy of an Oscar. I mean, he's the one who killed his parents, along with his younger brother. And this is the stuff of lying. And if you're in this business, the journalism business, and if you're in the law business, you know that people lie, and they lie to you all the time. They lie to your face straight up. And especially when you're on trial for your life, you lie straight up. That happens all the time. And a lot of people don't understand that, and I do, and you do.
So let me share a personal story. This is really...
And you know what? That is true. People do lie when it's like time for court. You know how many serial killers, literally, some people get away with lying, y'all. There's some good liars out here. Now, like I said, I'm not biased. I don't know if they did it. Well, I'm not going to say that. I would say if they did it, I would just say it's revenge, like I said before. But I always say if if somebody do something, there's always a reason, or should be at least, don't just blowing somebody's head off with a shotgun is some crazy work. Let's talk about that. The freaking weapon used, like a shotgun, is no joke. I hope they're not talking about 13 shotgun bullets, because that's insane. I don't want to look at no autopsy photos of people's faces blown off, because people can do that. I think, because a lot of people said they can look at it online. I'm like, oh, bodies? You sure? But maybe. But for example, I watched the interrogation of these two brothers after they tried to kill their parents, two African Americans, and the dad, they said they was being I think they said they were not assaulted. It was like they never felt love. There was a lot of stuff going on with that, and they tried to kill their parents, had to blow the house up, and they stabbed them and beat them up, and they didn't kill them. They luckily they survived, but the whole interrogation of them, they was telling their story, and people kept saying they are good storytellers, that it's all about money. But I'm like, they're not even super rich, so like, how can it be? You never know. And he was just, because one brother was talking about what he didn't have, the other brother felt like he felt alone. It was literally the same thing, two sides of every story. And it was just two sides. People said, no, they were being abused, but then the other was like, no, it's all about money. Isn't that crazy how that works, y'all? So psychological. It's so crazy. But there you go. There, these two dudes, right? These two men are very biased. You could tell they sticking to their story that the brothers killed them and that they lied. Who knows? The 911 call, we might have to watch that. If I know you can get those on public, on the internet, you can get those 911 calls. I might have to find those for you guys, because I'm curious. How can you can make yourself cry? Actually, it's not hard to cry after a crime. Think about it. It's a lot of if they did it, it's a lot of pressure built up, a lot of and like you just killed somebody. You can easily cry out of like not knowing what to do. You just shot somebody. A lot of emotions going on. Could have been out of anger, emotion, hate. Like it's so much that can go on. I can make myself cry 24/7 watching sad stuff. So that could be true.
Let me move on to the next question here. In your opinion, what do you think if the brothers were put on trial today? What, if anything, do you think would look different? We've heard the arguments that the brothers should have been charged with manslaughter instead, which I got to tell you, I totally disagree with that. Would that, in your view, be a viable charge here based on what you observed in that 6 months watching these proceedings unfold?
Well, so, Mr. Prosecutor, sir, you know better than to ask yes or no questions, and the answer to that question is no. So I think nothing would be different, and the reason why is this. What's shocking to me, Matt, is that very few people in my business, in journalism, have taken the time to read the Ninth Circuit opinion, the habeas opinion from 2005. This opinion absolutely destroys the brothers' opinion, the brothers' arguments. Excuse me. And what it says, first of all, is that the so-called abuse excuse evidence is all but irrelevant and immaterial. The word it uses is misplaced. And the reason why, as you would understand, I would understand, as I think most people who would watch the show would understand, is that it goes to the notion of the imperfect self-defense argument. Look, to put it in English rather than lawese, the brothers had to be in imminent fear for their lives when they burst into the den. What was the situation? The parents were sitting there watching TV. What was the fear? There was no fear, zero fear. So all of this abuse excuse evidence, and it's worth noting that none of which has ever been corroborated. None.
Don't worry, I'm listening. I'm trying to her produce
all that evidence might have shown that the brothers had some generalized fear, but did it go to an imminent fear at the exact moment that they burst into the den? No. So the trial would be exactly the same.
It wouldn't.
Exactly the same.
We've heard from
the reason why it wouldn't is because they will actually let them use what they need to. You know, think about it. They have different lawyers that's actually agreeing with them. Well, saying that there's more to the story, and also I think they would get charged with I think what the hardest part for me with the crime itself. Let's talk about that again. Is the weapon used? I feel like when somebody uses a shotgun, that's how you know it's very personal. You want that person. Shotguns, like used to the face, says you want them gone. Now, like they said earlier, they did say it was like a robbery. That's the story they told. But like, no matter what, it's personal. Shotguns to the face is personal, especially over and over. That's freaking personal. But I think it would be definitely different. They would let them tell their story first of all. They'll let them say what they need to say. They wouldn't get cut off and tell them that they can't use stuff in court. Like the 90s, I don't know what it was, but a lot of stuff was definitely wrong.
Family members, they claim that no, it would be different because people didn't understand, in effect, that males could be the victims of sexual abuse back in the early 90s. And you know, I got to tell you, when I hear that, I was in the sexual assault unit in the 1990s, and I yell at my TV. Tell us about that. Were they permitted, based on your observations, to share these allegations of sexual abuse? And I mean, did people know that men and boys could be sexually abused in the 1990s?
Yeah, I also yell at my TV because I quoted in the piece I did as the preview for the trial, a judge from Maryland who said that he had seen cases like this, and generally that the children make allegations like this, and it sells a lot of papers, is what he said, and it's the classic case of the children who kill their parents and then throw themselves on the mercy of the court, saying, "I'm an orphan." And you hate to be glib, but that is exactly what happened here. You know,
But were you assaulted? This is the thing. Look, you have people like this, the judge, these two people. Yes, he said he worked in the sexual assault unit. Okay, but were you ever sexually assaulted as a kid? I don't. Yeah, and we're gonna go to the comments after this. Oh my god, it's so bad. It's like so much to say. They hate these people, or they hate the video because it was like how biased it is. It's like you don't know what somebody is thinking of in the moment, especially if they were assaulted. Now, let's talk about this letter. The cousin did. I know. I heard the cousin died, but this letter was written in 1988. There's no way. Somebody said there's no way he could have planted this. Like he told another two people this. He told other people this. There's no way you can fake this, okay? But I don't. They're better off just saying that they like if they believe they murdered them. Like I said, I'm not gonna say if it is or not. That's until I fully watch all the trials and everything. I think that's when I would make my assumption. But because I know it kind of sounded like I did, but I kind of didn't. Y'all, I'm just talking. It's like this letter, you can't say that if you don't know. What I was trying to say is that he did not, like, they couldn't plant this. Like, this was before they even died. So you had them holding it in. I just don't understand why they're not even like getting off of it a little bit. They're like, no, like they murdered them because they're like whiny rich kids, and I don't think that's the case though. That's the thing. This is what I was trying to say, y'all. I don't know how I keep getting distracted. They're better off saying that they murdered them for revenge rather than saying that it was for like no reason at all, just to be famous. Because really looking at the case, there's obviously a motive, but they don't want to say it. They don't believe the motive. They believe that it's more money and that it's more fame. I believe that if they murdered them, it would be more for revenge. My only thing is that if that's true, like all of what I said early on in this video, as long as I don't even care no more, what I said right at the beginning, if that's true about the whole thing, about the money thing of them buying Rolexes and going to play, like get tennis instructors, like after, that's the only problem I have, if that's true. Like that motive part would be like the money. So we have money and we have assault. Those are like the only two. I don't think it's for fame. I don't really think that. But I do think it's something else to it. I don't condone murder. I always say this. I don't condone murder. You murder somebody, you should deserve to do the time. But do I say, do they need first degree? I don't know. It looked like there was a real reason. Nobody wants to say it. You know, really everybody else is saying it now. Is just the people who him, the journalist, they say during the time, the judge during the time, they don't believe anything that they're saying now.
You hate to be difficult about this kind of thing, but this is a homicide case. And when you as a defense lawyer know that one of the very difficult facts in the case is that you have to concede that the brothers pulled the shotgun triggers. So they have to acknowledge that they did the killing. What are your possible avenues for defense? Well, that sort of limits significantly what you can try to do to take what is now almost surely a murder case down to manslaughter. What could you possibly argue? And it seems logical that the only thing you possibly could argue would be sexual abuse. I mean, that seems logical.
So let's run with that for a second. Say this is indeed true. Let's say that that Jose Menendez was sexually abusing these boys at one point, and let's say it was horrific. Does that change the nature of what they did in your view?
No, because again, under California law, and this is where people really lose the plot. People who get wrapped up in the emotionality of this allegation completely lose the plot. Under California law, imperfect self-defense means you have to have an imminent fear for your life when you act in quote-unquote self-defense. What was the imminent fear here? The parents were sitting in the den watching TV. There was no imminent fear. Imminent means now. There was
So they're what they're saying, the California law, they're trying to say, and I'm not putting too much emotion into this. I'm just saying that there's emotion involved in this, and I feel like the court did not want to use that. They're just talking about what they say, imminent fear. So somebody has to be running at you with a gun. Somebody has to be coming up to you with a weapon. Somebody has to be attacking you, and you pull a shotgun and shoot them. That's what they're saying. Now, if they shot them with these shotguns, I don't not like, this is my thing. I don't like, I always say shotguns. Yeah, I talked about a couple cases on here with the shotguns. It's horrific. Oh my God, one shotgun to do it. But I hope they said 13 bullets. I hope it wasn't 13 shotgun shots. That's insane. Just holes in your head, holes in your face is freaking horrifying. Like, I would be like, that is excessive. That's excessive murder. But we have, with this, like, you have to take into counter the sexual assault. You have to. I always say, like I said, but I keep saying, yes, there's a reason, there's motive in here, a lot of motive. But, like, I feel like it's emotion all over this. You can't not use that. And if that's the only thing they go on in California, they need to change that. Because in the 70s, and guess I'm going to the 70s, y'all, I watched a lot of true crime, a lot of documentaries. Trust me. 70s, 80s, 90s, peak of serial killers. And a lot of these people were in in California. A lot of those killers were in California. The reason I say that, I'm trying to say that during that time, I'm like, they need to change that law. Well, I'm guessing you're saying I guess basically if you would have killed one of those serial killers, it would be a reason because they kidnapped you. But still, I just think you have to take it has to be emotion in this. I feel like there was no emotion in this on like anybody else's part. Now, on the other side, because I always say there's two sides, they can easily be faking it. Now, I'm not talking about the abuse, okay? I 100% believe that happened, okay? I'm talking about they can be, I guess I would say that they can be lying, saying they didn't kill them when they did. If they're not saying they killed them. Because people believe they acted out in fear, which I believe kinda a little bit. Anyways, I'm not trying to take sides. It's hard not to, y'all. But it's like, because I just see the sexual assault, but I'm like, that's a big part of this. But they can easily be, acting all normal and nice. Like, you never know somebody's emotions. You don't know, like, y'all, a lot of people can really fake it. But the emotion part, the sexual assault 100% happened. I believe it. I just don't understand how these two dudes, these men, will not go past this. They don't believe it. They just think that they have to be in imminent danger, which, to be honest, they were. Let's think about it. That stuff built up. It built up. Getting assaulted from when you were a kid, constantly having it happen, and you're like too scared to tell somebody. I don't know. What do y'all think about that part, though?
no fear. This is a
And last thing, I'm so sorry, y'all, but this is what we're doing. You can't say that somebody didn't have fear when you weren't there. That's 100% true. You can't say those dudes, like those, I can't say dudes. You can't say the brothers were not in fear when you were not in their household. You can't say that. That's just what I think. With the sexual assault, you can't say somebody was not in fear that they're going to be abused. Like, and taking away the part that they're like men, with men and sexual abuse, and we talked about that on here before, but you can't say somebody was not in fear for their life when you weren't there. You're just covering the story after their death. Is really why what's something what I noticed, y'all, about this interview, why they keep saying that people from the outside only see emotion, they only see what's on the Netflix thing, which I hear was a lot of stuff was wrong. Also, I wouldn't take too much from that because they only have one side of the story. They don't have the dead, like the people that died, the dead parents. But these men, it's like y'all are only looking at it from y'all journalist expertise. Like, y'all were not in their household when it happened. You don't know the emotion part behind it. Is there a reason they lied? Like, did they have to hurry come up with a story because they didn't want to, even if they killed them, they didn't want people to know they killed them? Maybe it's a reason they lied. I don't know. Too much, y'all. It's more to this. That's all I'm saying. Oh my God, this is really a biased interview. I see why people really hate it, which I'm about to speed it up because this video will be like an hour.
a classic case of premeditated murder. The brothers had gone to San Diego a couple days beforehand to buy the guns. They had used fake IDs to buy the guns. They had practiced shooting the guns. The parents are sitting there quietly watching television. The brothers burst into the den. They fire 13 to 15 shots. They blow the father's brains out. Incredibly, Kitty Menendez is still somehow alive. Lyle Menendez, the older one, goes back out to the driveway, reloads his shotgun. What I like to do when I tell this story is take your stopwatch, walk out to your driveway, just walk to the car. Walk out there and walk back in. It usually takes about 30 seconds. That doesn't even account for the time it takes to reload a shotgun. He came back in, put the muzzle of the gun up against his mother's cheek, and blew her face off. And this is heinous. It's awful. I mean, it's vicious and despicable.
So they also went and they were talking to a psychologist named Dr. Oziel, and they had multiple sessions, both Eric and Lyle. Based on the evidence that you observed, when did these allegations of sexual abuse first come out? Did they tell that to the psychologist? What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, and this is one of the things that really suggests to anyone with a clear head that these abuse excuse allegations are fabricated. So in a couple months after the killing, they met with Dr. Oziel. Eric had been meeting with Dr. Oziel because he had been implicated in a burglary in Calabasas. And you would think that if there was ever a time in which you were going to confess your deepest, darkest secrets to someone, you would do it in confidence. I'm going to make a little bit of a joke here. Like everyone in California, I've been to therapy. Maybe you have too. Look, when you're in therapy, you're in confidence. You have a privilege. You know that you can tell your therapist anything and know that it's secret. Indeed, they did tell Dr. Oziel that they had killed the parents. Did the sexual abuse allegations ever come up then? No. They told Dr. Oziel then that they had killed the father because he'd been unfaithful. And they told him that they had to kill the mother because she was miserable and that killing her was essentially a mercy killing. Not a word about sexual abuse. Not a word.
Tell us a little bit. They were also convicted of what's known as special circumstance of murder for financial gain. What was some of the evidence that may have either been a partial motive or perhaps the entire motive of this killing?
So after the killings, there was some concern among both of them about a will. And once they, I won't get into all the back and forth about having to confirm that the will existed. There were checks at computers, this, that, and the other thing. But once Lyle in particular made sure that the will left everything to the brothers, they went on a spending spree. They bought Rolexes, they bought Porsches, they bought buildings, they bought and bought and bought. I mean, who at 21 and 18 does that sort of thing? You know,
we have ample evidence of actual financial gain, and I can share this a little bit. Under California law, since I've prosecuted these, one of the things that seems to be absent from the discussion here is that you can be motivated by different things when you commit a murder. And under California law, the way it works is if you are only partially motivated by financial gain, you can be motivated by nobility, revenge, bad feelings, a dispute over offense, whatever it may be. But if the defendant also is subjectively aware at the time that they will financially benefit from the killing, California law says that is still a first-degree murder with the special circumstance of financial gain. All of the elements are satisfied. So let's say, let me pose this to you as a bit of a hypothetical as I kind of play devil's advocate, not to you, but to the ongoing narrative here. Let's say they were sexually abused. In your view, based on this, what impact does that have when their parents are sitting on the couch watching TV?
I can't be more emphatic about this. It has zero. relevance. And it's not me saying this. It's the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals saying this. The Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals says any evidence of abuse is, to use their word, misplaced, because it doesn't go to anything in their defense. That evidence only goes to what they say is a generalized fear that they might have had. It doesn't go to imperfect self-defense. And so all of it is just emotionality, not facts and law.
Now, let's go to some comments. I just want to show y'all what people are saying. So, let's see. I'm yelling at my TV now, listening to these commentators using the phrase abuse excuse. No, for real, I was too. Y'all heard how mad I got. I was only mad because it's like I wish people would, like, if you have not been through anything, it's so disrespectful to say that, especially when people are younger. They were 21, 18 still. That's a lot of stuff. I'm gonna talk about that in a minute. I hate when that guy said it wouldn't be any different today. Totally disagree. What do people say about this? If I was on a jury, I would vote guilty on first degree based on the evidence. The rate of jury convictions have drastically gone up since 40 years. Yes, me too. Because it literally, somebody said, because it literally is because it literally is they would have gotten voluntary manslaughter, which is 5 to 15 years. Some women don't even have to serve time. Okay. I just want to say those autopsy photos, all crime scene photos are available. We are seeing them. We are listening. We are seeing it all. Does anyone else get the ick when they say abuse excuse? Every time. I didn't even watch the video yet, so thank you for saving me time. Yes, it makes me want to vomit. Those two are so biased. Bring back Jesse. Holy crap, the bias is it's very biased in this video, y'all. Just because someone is a journalist does not mean they can be biased. Mr. Abel, whatever his name is, seems very emotional about his opinion. They say hit the nail on the head. He even mistakes the trial record in this interview. He's a creep. Okay. These guys have done 35 years. Today, criminals in California walk free. What's your point? Oink, oink. Okay. They stated their point. They should be free. They pay for their crimes their parents committed against them. They are not a threat to society. First of all, no offense, how do you know? But I'm just saying. Those sons should never spend a day in jail. The parents are vile criminals. Somebody said, agree. I think the judge should have put them in a place where they could seek help and care for a while. Somebody said they should have never spent a day in jail for murdering 2 people. Really? Okay. I would hate to have this guy as a professor. They hate these people, y'all. The judge was so dodgy in the second trial, he just wanted a conviction. Somebody said not at all. The judge and prosecution already had went above and beyond at the first trial to allow that irrelevant and unproven child abuse accusations be presented, and the accusations and subjected evidence failed to convince the 2 juries. At the second trial, the abuse evidence was limited to proving imminent fear of their parents. The real dodgy people were the 2 felonious brothers whose testimonies did not describe imminent fear of their mother. Okay. Actually, the second trial was politically based on the O.J. Simpson trial. Okay, y'all. Y'all see what I'm talking about, right? People is somebody, oh, this is a good one. You become a skilled liar when your family is a lie. That's good. Okay. These 2 men are disgusting. Yeah. Right here. The authenticity or dating of the letter. The letter was found in the storage after the cousin died. Not sure how Eric could have planted it there from prison. Last one. So they should have waited until Jose was about to essay them. Is that what they're saying? That's the question they're saying because of the California law. I said my opinion throughout this video, y'all. It's very, very biased in this interview that what they're talking about, because you have the journalist who was there in the first part of the trial, and his opinion is not changing. Then you have somebody who worked in sexual assault cases, but my big thing about this though, they say people are only looking at it as an emotional thing with the assault. I feel like you have to, like somebody said in the comment, you can't fake putting a letter there before they died. He was telling his cousin about the abuse, which I personally believe. If you don't believe it, that's you. There's so many sides to the story. That's why I say this. You don't know until you like really know. My thing at the end, this is what made me mad. They said they did not tell the which we're going to get to the money spending thing again, but they said they did not tell the therapist what was going on. You know, it's crazy. A lot of the time you don't. People, yeah, it's in confidential, but you still don't know that person. So they might have confessed to the abuse, like to the murder, but some people still will hold that in. You might not tell a therapist. They were acting like just because it's you and somebody you don't know who won't judge you, nothing will leave the room, that mean they'll talk. That really don't. Some people still don't talk to therapists. Like, it might be that traumatizing they just won't talk about it. Maybe he just shunned it out and only saw anger and wrath that day if they, when they killed him, not right now, y'all. But it's like, that could be. So I don't understand why they saying they kept, y'all, this video, geez, I see exactly what people were talking about. They just kept on saying the excuses. They were not abused, because how can somebody do that? The fact that somebody had the audacity to say that man, the dad, Jose, was not capable. Anybody is capable of assaulting somebody. Anybody is capable of murder. I'm not saying they didn't murder them. I'm just saying, if they murdered them, I feel like the revenge part would be the reason. And yes, if that's true about all of this, that means it was very premeditated, because they had a reason for it. Now, well, I wouldn't say reason, there's no reason to murder somebody. But if they was getting abused that much and nobody was helping them and they weren't talking about it, it's like, that's another story. But they're making it, they played it as just like cold-blooded killers with only the money, because like they said, Rolexes, cars, buildings. I'm talking about spending the money. I even found out they said the house that they were in would not even be worth none really now. I think they got back taxes to pay, over like $600,000, like taxes to pay. It was a lot of money being spent, and still has to be spent on like to do that, handle that situation. But it's interesting, isn't it? It's such a big case, y'all. It's like, I wanted to watch this because I was curious about what they said, and I was wondering how everybody in these comments were feeling, and up and down. Everybody is up and down, and they were very biased in this video. That's their opinion. We can't get, you can get mad, you can hate it all you want. That's their opinion, though. They believe they killed them. They're looking at, also think about it, they're looking at freaking 13, 15 freaking shotguns. Oh my God. This is why I wouldn't believe it was a robbery, like one of their brothers called 911 because the shotguns, a robbery, you wouldn't see robbers go in and shoot somebody that many times and not like take anything. You wouldn't see them. Or did they stage it? Because I think, was it them that they staged it, that they said they staged it allegedly? But that story wouldn't have worked. Like, it's very personal. Shotgun to the face, 13, 15 shots, that's beyond personal. So that really wouldn't have worked. But then them confessing, that's where, to be honest, if we're talking like this, that's where they messed up. But at the same time, they're like, they see two rich kids who confess to their therapist in confidential. How did they even get out? Was this some stuff like, how did they get out if they did that? But anyways, it's like you have that happen, and then you have them spending money. So I can see why people would easily think that, and then them not ever talking about the abuse. I see why people would think that they're lying, but at the same time, a lot of kids don't. And I'm not keep on saying kids, but I'm just saying in general, kids who are abused, because the brother said since 6 and 8 he was abused. And the other one was somebody who was being abused up until then. So no matter what, people hold abuse in. People who get raped nowadays won't say anything. They won't tell a therapist. They won't say anything because there's a lot of trauma to it. But y'all, I just want to know y'all opinions on this. I was really curious to watch this. So on that note, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I got so much to watch with this because my camera needs to cool down again. So on that note, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. What are your opinions on this? On the Menendez brothers? And I'll see you guys on the next video. Stay safe, stay aware, stay alert. Bye.